Well, let's get talking now. The greatest risk facing global supply chains has shifted from COVID-19 pandemic to the Russia and Ukraine conflict and the geopolitical and economic uncertainties it has created. Now, global supply chains have been in fragile states since the start of the pandemic, and the ongoing invasion in Ukraine by Russia has, of course, exacerbated the situation for companies in many industries, particularly those heavily reliant on energy resources. Well, despite the distance of Nigeria from the war zone, we are not immune from the effects of the war, owing to the influence of Russia in world economy and Nigeria's dependence on international trade and importation. Given the peculiar situation of the Nigerian supply chain sector, the scarcity of containers is said to elevate shipping costs as transportation and logistics, which are key to a wide range of industries from processed food to advanced industrial manufacturing, will be largely affected. Well, I'm starting this week, this Monday, live in the studio to look at the impact of what this means. Of course, the Russia and Ukraine crisis on Nigeria's supply chain. She's the founder of Easy Shop, Easy Cook, Mrs. Saudat Salami. It's good to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
Yes. First, let's start with, we started with COVID, and we're almost out of COVID, and we're like saying, aviation sector coming back, manufacturing coming back, and all of that being kick-started again. But along the line, the war now came in again. The Omicron came, then the war came in, and all of that. Now, give us an overview of what you think we were facing, where we got to, and where we are at the moment.
First of all, we're not out of COVID.
Honestly, we are not. Yes, let's agree, we are not.
We're just learning to live with it. True. And getting vaccinated.
True.
So for me, COVID showed the world that every nation has to be independent, at least food secured. And we didn't learn from that. Or maybe we didn't have enough time to prepare for that before this war came. And when this Russia-Ukraine war came, everybody thought, it's far away from there. But Russia and Ukraine, they are very big on exports. Yeah. They feed the world on wheat, gas, seed oil. Apart from Nigerians importing from their country, they also export to other countries that produce goods that we buy. And they use wheat for many, apart from us eating, we know everybody is going on about how the price of bread is going to go up. That is the least of what is happening. Wheat is very versatile and is used also in the industries. Wow. You get alcohol from it, they use it for a lipstick, they use it for cosmetics. It is a versatile cash crop and is one of the highest traded crops after corn and rice around the world. So it is more than just our bread. You know, our bread, our semolina, our noodles as we know it, all those things are going to be affected. Then, you know, in your news you talked about alternative energy. Wheat and corn are part of the things that they use for all those biofuel. So these things are this present danger for everybody, and we have to look at how we must be independent. We say we are 200 million. I don't know how that true is. At least to the least, we must be able to feed ourselves. But the thing is, we can grow wheat. Nigeria imports most of the wheat. We import most of the wheat. I remember when the agric when they were talking about priority list and they put corn and rice and wheat, and people said no, that we should at least leave some things to importation. Can you see now? So we had a pilot in Plateau State for wheat. They gave them improved seeds. I don't know how that is going now, but the thing is, we can grow wheat. We have to grow wheat.
What's the issue about the quality? Some say the quality, the taste is the issue. Are we so... I don't get it that we can't just... So tell us about that. You're in this space.
This is an acquired taste. What is taste? Basmati rice. When basmati rice came a few years ago, we didn't know what basmati rice is. I, for one, hated it. But now I eat it. All these things are acquired taste. And we have to look at the bigger picture. We have this mentality that, once, if I can afford it, if I can afford my gen, if I can afford my SUV, if I can afford a borehole in my house, so every other thing is okay. We can't do that. We have to look at the bigger picture. We have to grow and feed ourselves when there's crisis. COVID has shown that when everybody locks their door, so many of us are going to starve. Because our basic things are imported. Even the manufacturing companies in Nigeria, they import most of their inputs. So even if you are telling them they must manufacture in Nigeria, the inputs are not there because our farmers are mostly growing food crops. We don't have a large number of farmers that are growing for industries, because the same crops that we're using for food are used in the industry for something else, for starch, for ethanol, for alcohol, for livestock. You know, when you have a crisis like this, you can imagine the other companies that produce shampoo, that produce lipstick, that produce, they want to produce.
Yeah.
They are going to use the same thing you want to eat, like our pomo that we don't want to leave. Those in the leather industry want the leather, but those of us that like pomo want pomo as well, and we do not have enough cows.
Yeah.
So we need to start thinking of that and stop doing this politically. We have no choice. And the thing is that, are we going to waste this crisis? That's the question.
So what are you saying? You're seeing an opportunity in all of these challenges.
Oh, yes.
Are you talking domesticating most of all of this products and production? How easy would that be?
It's not meant to be easy, but it has to be done. The reason why Russia is calling everybody's bluff today is because it can feed itself. Otherwise, it will not do that. Russia will be afraid because they sanction them all over the world.
Yeah.
But they are calling everybody's bluff because they can feed themselves. We have to do that, at least to a certain degree. Our basic food, we're doing well in rice, although people are complaining that rice is still very expensive, but that is just setup cost.
Okay.
After a while, it's going to be cheaper. They just set up the industries. There are so many inputs that are not there yet. We don't have enough companies that are producing sack. We don't have enough companies that are producing inputs that the rice factory will use. All these things make it expensive. I remember when telecoms came to Nigeria, how much did you buy SIM when it came?
About 35
30, 40, 50, 60,000. Now SIM is, they're
almost
giving
free.
you.
Yeah,
and that's because they had initial setup costs.
Yeah.
Nigerians, we need to learn to sacrifice for a bit. And that's going to start from our leaders.
Like a transition period,
there
right?
has to be. But you see, the National Orientation Agency has a lot of work to do. There are strikes all over the world, just to show you that this is a global crisis. It doesn't have anything to do with any politician. But you see, it's how you handle this situation and how we can encourage ourselves and see the big picture. Because, you see, they say that, you just said now that they don't like the taste. When you encourage farmers and when you encourage job creation, National Orientation Agency needs to let people know how that affects you.
Yes.
When we are building bridges, you hear people say, is it bridge we're going to chop? You need to come out and let them know how that cascades into job creation, wealth creation, improved livelihood, and so many things. Nobody is coming out to say that you're just saying I'm launching a bridge. People do not even know how that bridge affects them. They do not know that
economic aspect of it, the benefits.
They don't. They have
don't
to
understand.
We have to come up with campaign on how building the bridge and shortening your transportation time is going to affect your livelihood, is going to affect your business, how putting opening roads is going to allow farm produce come out. You see, we are importing a lot of things, but there's so many things we can produce here. But the problem is, how does it come out from the farm? The farm roads are not really there.
Yeah.
We're just trying to develop infrastructure. And the thing is, we have to have a plan. We have to have a success plan right now, because let me tell you, war is a business. Everybody knows war is a business. It is, we have all this, what will I call it, war merchants that are happy that this is going on, because they're going to sell, they're going to have, there will be IDP camp. Look at the immigration issue, the refugee issue. They're going to feed them.
Yeah.
The thing is, Russia and Ukraine are even one of the highest people that supply them grains for IDP. So you can imagine, there is no grain from that country. Yeah. Now you are going to now have people that are going to trade in weapons. Look at all the weapons they shipped to Ukraine. That weapon, you know what happened in Libya? When they took weapons there for war, it ended up here. The same thing is going to happen here. There are war merchants, and we have to be ready.
Yeah, true.
We can't be sitting there and saying, oh my God, I went to the market today, the price has gone up. Oil is going to go up because sunflower oil is from that area.
Yeah, sunflower oil, we look, even steel components, aluminium and all of that. I'm looking at how this will affect car production, gas and all of that.
Fertilizer. Dangote is launching his fertilizer plant. He has already shipped to US. He's a businessman. Everybody is thinking the moment Dangote starts selling fertilizer, everything will drop.
Or when the refineries become operational.
If he exports fertilizer, he will make more money than Nigeria. Nigeria can only negotiate for him to give us some. But if a businessman, he has loans to pay. And we need more people to enter that space, right? I know now that Russia, that is also big on exporting fertilizer. is locked, who are they going to buy fertilizer from? And we're not only looking at Nigeria. There's so many African countries that import just like Nigeria. And you know where they will come? They're coming here.
When we talk about taking advantage of this, I tend to look at what's been happening in the agricultural space in Nigeria now. We've seen that focus, and that led to the ban of some items, which some said is not the way to go. I would like your reaction to that, if you think that's the way to go, because many will argue that we are not self-sufficient. Why are we banning 44 items, 43 items, and all of that? If we are not, what now is the way to go? And how would you assess the impact of all of these efforts, particularly from the CBN, let me focus, on the agri space?
I'm in support of banning to a large extent because the countries that did it before were successful. China banned themselves for almost 40 years. So many countries have done that. We need, the Nigerians, like we said before, I can afford this car, I can afford my borehole. The thing is, we have acquired taste for imported things, and we have to save ourselves. We need to sacrifice for a bit. What CBN needs to do is to look at how to get the banks to fund long-term. We're talking 25, 30 years loan, we're talking single digits, not just 9%. We're talking you not just funding production and looking at the whole value chain, supply chain to the end. You talked about transport. Transport is very expensive all over the world. You know, you have a contract to supply something from here to there. Transportation is the bulk of that. The rail is going to drop that for us, but rail is only from one point to the other. We still need the trucks. You know, we still need the trucks. So it's banning. Look at what happened to rice. Rice production and increase, which is fantastic. We need to do it now. Nobody needs to ban wheat. There's no wheat anywhere, so we have no choice but to grow. Kaduna, Plateau State, Bauchi, they have good areas to grow wheat, and we have to do that. I hope that we are able to buy improved seeds.
That's what I'm going. Seedlings.
Yes,
seedlings.
Not only the seeds.
Proper seedlings for us to also.
Yes, not only the seeds. Nigerian farmers are still waiting for rain. We can't feed ourselves waiting for rain. And we cannot feed ourselves with hoe and cutlass. We need mechanized and we need irrigation. We have to. So the government has to fund that. And you know what? A lot of the material for this thing are imported. They're imported. But you see, the thing is, we have to get capacity here. It's going to take time. When we all keep shouting and shouting and shouting, we're not going to get anywhere. We need to ask ourselves, what role am I going to play? A number of people have farmlands spread across this country and they've locked it. They've put a fence around it. We need contract farmers. You need to relieve that land so that people will start farming. We need to farm for industry and we need to farm for consumption. We need to look inward. And our taste buds, we need to change it. Because that is the only way we're going to save ourselves. At the end of the day, we will look at, they ban Russia, even if we're not buying anything from Russia. We're buying from other countries. And those other, look at gas. Russia locked that thing.
Yes.
How will those industries produce and for us to buy? Look at alcohol. They get alcohol from wheat. How are they going to make all this vodka? Vodka is not only made in Russia. So all these things, you sit down, you're watching TV and you go like, oh, this war doesn't concern me. It's going to concern you. Every price goes up every day. Because some countries, due to COVID, they shut down. Some companies shut down on their own. They have not even opened. Then this war has come, and they cannot get materials
to produce
anything. They cannot even power their machines because there's no gas. They can't even. There's no fertilizer from Russia and Ukraine. Even if the war ends today, the question is, will everything go back to normal?
Exactly. That's something that's also very worrisome. Many think that how long do we have to wait if we're looking at this transition period, even in Nigeria now, back to Nigeria again, to domesticate. Backward integration is one word that we hear many places when we're talking manufacturing here. Are we really integrating backwardly? Because I don't see because the effect of this is really staring us in the eyes.
Some are, but it's expensive, like I said.
It's also expensive to backward integrate. The loans are not matching.
The interest on the loans are not matching. CBN is trying, but they can do more. Like I said, they need to fund all. Then we need to train. We are still farming with hoe and cutlass. But you see, the farm equipment is from a lot of farm equipment from Ukraine, Russia. Even the one they fabricate in Nigeria, they are buying iron. Look at the real estate industry. I just so pity the cost of housing now, because iron ore is from there. It's from there.
So you can imagine.
This thing is going to affect every sector, and we don't have to cry. We cannot waste this crisis. We just have to look at it for what it is. Everybody needs to educate. Just educate yourself. What is coming from Russia? What is Russia exporting? What is Russia importing? Who are those importing from there? How can I benefit from here? And all government institutions need to wake up and know how it affects every sector. And let's now know how to look inwards. National Orientation Agency must come out and educate all of us, so that we are not because the most we know how to do in Nigeria is to organize protests. Everybody wants to organize protests, but nobody wants to sit down and have a strategic meeting on the success strategy we need, so that we will not waste this crisis. COVID, we have not even taken full advantage of what COVID has done to show that we can. Because Nigeria has, do you know the land we have that we have not even cultivated? Then we have people, we have expertise. Nigerians are one of the most brilliant all over the world. We have expertise, so we have no choice. We have our universities here. You know, a lot of universities are very, very massive. They just have land there. Are they cultivating? Are they allowed to cultivate in that place for research and also to add to the feeding? You know, we're not doing that. All the industries in Nigeria now, import substitution, look at the cost of Forex today. They are importing egg powder. They are importing cornstarch. They are importing so many things. When we have gluts in Nigeria for egg, why? Because we don't have industries producing this thing at the standard that they want. So a lot of manufacturing companies have standards. They manufacture here, but over 50% of their inputs are imported. So we are just like assembling.
Exactly, just the way we assemble.
Yeah, so every corner of the government, right, must come together. Not that CBN has given you 20 billion. Then you now want to import something. Then those at the custom will hold you. So you cannot, all the money you collected from the bank, you have used it to clear whatever you are clear. I thought agric is something that all of us, ease of the, I thought agric was everything that has to do with agric. You will reduce at least the, it's not that. Then you have the universities. If we want to start import substitution, what is the university doing, making sure that all this research is out, so that businesses like me can take that research, look for money, and build? We have expertise. It's not available, and even if it's available, it's for limited people. This is a crisis. And what do you do in a crisis? Every single state has to look for where they have advantage and take advantage.
Let's talk a little bit about, we're almost running out of time. It's always interesting talking agric and all of that. Let's look at storage. I'm always very interested in talking about storage, because that's also somewhere we can, because a lot of wastage, even on our roads and all of that. Don't forget, we have power issues in this part of the world. Electricity grid collapsed like 3 times last week. So all of this, how has that also been? Because that can also help improve productivity.
If there's no power, there's no storage, unfortunately, especially cold storage. There's silos for the grains. But you see, we don't only eat grains. We have vegetables, we have fruits. If there's no, and we have meat. We have meat that needs to go into the freezer. If there's no power, there is, because the alternate power is expensive. It's very, very expensive. And the machines that we have imported, right, are being powered by generator. When they made them, the Oyibo that made it did not say you should be putting on and off. You leave that power on. But by the time you have PHCN, you have generator, you go off, on, it's going to affect your machine. You are going to, cost of maintenance is going to go up. All your maintenance materials, you are bringing them in. Even sometimes the expertise, you have to fly them in. It's too expensive for anybody to do. So they try to bypass, or they limit what they are storing. But if we want to feed Nigeria, it has to be mass. We are, you know, any business here, look at Dangote, all these Bua, flour mills and all of that. Go to their factory and see what they're doing. They're not playing.
They're not.
But they still can't feed us because we are many.
We have that population.
Yes, but they have the capacity to do that. The thing is that we need to lobby for policies that are favorable to us. the kind of negotiation BUA, Nestle, and all the other big companies would have, they are the ones that have the money to lobby and get policies in their favor, and they'll be able to meet up everything. But people like us need to come together and also push, because our representatives also represent us. But if we do not come as a voice and let them know that, you see, this policy, it might be good, but only 1, 2, 3, 4 are benefiting. Yeah. But you see, the bulk of us are not. Mm-hmm. How can you look at us so that we can also grow? Right? And this doesn't have anything to do with gender. This doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's just small businesses that you want to grow. And again, big businesses that that have small business supplier. Like during the week, we got an order from the office that said we should assure them for 6 months prices, that the prices we quote should be 6 months. I'm like, are you not in Nigeria?
It's not possible.
I mean, are you not in Nigeria? I should give you price for these items and guarantee you 6 months.
Right.
I'm like, no, please. No, please. And that is a very big company. Those companies will squeeze, their consultants will advise them to squeeze their suppliers, right? So that they can save costs. But the kind of loan I can get to supply you and the rate they will give me is far higher than you as a big company can get. I will probably I will not get a single digit for what I want to do. So like 20-something% or maybe 10% a month to supply you, whereas you are getting a 9% per annum loan. So why can't you pay your small businesses to supply you? Even pay them upfront or give them half for those that you have verified, so that they can grow their business. But no, they will squeeze small business, tell you that they're going to pay you in 30 days, and also tell you that you should give them a rebate and assure them of price for 6 months. Who does that in this world?
Well, really a lot in the plate for us to grapple with. In just 1 minute, what's your outlook with all of these challenges for the sector?
Don't waste the crisis. We need to get our hands down, and immediately, every state government should please, let's see how we can use this war to our advantage and grow our country. Is very important.
I must thank you so much, Mrs. Saudat Salami there. She's the founder of Easy Shop and Easy Cook, talking to us about supply disruptions, of course, how it affects Nigeria, the agri space, and all that has to do with products, commodities, and all of that. Thank you so much for spending your Monday afternoon with us. We appreciate this on Business Nigeria.
Thank you.